It strikes me that TAB, like many sectors of the business community, is sort of more in the center of that debate. I mean, in terms of ideological spectrum,
sure,
than a lot of at least the direction that a big faction of the Republican Party is going.
No question about it.
Talk about how you manage that.
I would even say that we're more to the left than we are to the center in terms of the political spectrum in Texas or in the U.S. for that matter.
So explain that.
Because, okay, well, I mean, you know, we have a problem. We've had a failed system since '87, I guess, when Simpson-Mazzoli passed. I mean, we went through it back then, and basically there was an amnesty back then. And the amnesty was part of a package to, you know, seal the borders and allow some migration, some immigration, and then some like guest worker programs and that sort of thing. And it failed. It didn't work. It was never enforced. And we have some arguably 11 or 12 million undocumented people living in America today. We can't send them home. That's completely ridiculous. I mean, even the most far right, I think, you know, thinkers on this issue, I've never heard really anyone say put them on a bus. Maybe, I'm sure there's someone out there who said that, but effectively that's not a realistic response. So we have those who are here. We have a need for workers. Less so in leaner times, obviously, but in good times in Texas, there are three very important industries: agriculture, construction, and hospitality, that rely heavily on immigrant labor. And there are not enough people who are born in Texas or in America to fill those slots. There are people born in America or in Texas who fill some of the slots, but not all of the slots. So immigration is a way, legal immigration is a way to meet that need. And then finally, we feel like it's unfair for employers to be put in the position of law enforcement in terms of checking you know, credentials, et cetera, as to the legality of individuals. I mean, we all know that this is the fake ID capital of the world, right? Austin, Texas, is it not? Can I get an amen from the audience on that? I don't know, and you know, in 24 hours, how many fake IDs could we obtain, you know, if you were challenged? But we don't think it's fair for the employers to have to look and see, okay, is this real or not? You know, so therefore, we support comprehensive immigration reform at the federal level to do several things. One is to secure the borders and then allow enough legal immigration to meet the needs of employers and to know who people are who are coming across. You know, keep the bad guys out and let the people who want to work come across and let them go back home in lean times or at Christmas or whatever and then come back. That circularity is gone now. The second thing we need to do is to deal with those who are here by creating some sort of legal status. I mean, they're not going to self-deport. That's simply not going to happen. And then finally, we need a system of identification that the employers can completely rely upon. We don't have that today, and we need all three of those things. We also, which is sort of a comprehensive, which is, you know, stalled in Congress for 5 or 6 years now. I mean, it's just not happening. We also say that, you know, I don't know what the population here is at UT in terms of immigrants or non-nationals coming to learn and study at this fine institution. And they're given a student visa and they come, and then when they graduate, they say, oh, by the way, now you can't stay, you have to go back home. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. And there have been some efforts to deal with that, and especially in the area of science, technology, engineering, and math, where we have such dire shortages. So,
how hard is it to articulate that as a business or a kind of macroeconomic position in this environment? I mean,
difficult. I mean, well, communication, if you assume that communication is a two-way street, then it's very difficult. Just saying it is not all that hard. But, you know, obviously there's a lot of frustration by Texans because the federal government has failed to act. So they beat on the door of their local legislator and say something needs to be done. Congress doesn't do anything, so they want to do something over here. And in those states that have done it, Arizona, Alabama, and Georgia, are, you know, not faring very well because they're figuring out that through the state actions that have taken place, they've actually caused people to move to other states in their labor shortages. Interestingly enough, just this week, Mississippi House passed another onerous Arizona-style legislation, and the Senate refused to pass it. So, I mean, there is a little bit of the turning of the tide, realizing that Arizona's probably not got the best solution to this problem. We believe it's a federal issue and should not be dealt with here at the state level.